Hello and welcome to Music NFT News with Richard and Barry. Barry, how are we doing?
I'm very good, thank you, Rich. How you doing?
I'm good. It is good to be back. It's good to be here.
It is. It's great.
I'm sat opposite him. It's a Tuesday night.
Yep.
We're recording this. We've both had busy days, but we're full of energy for tonight and to talk to you.
Pitch black outside.
Yep, in beautiful London, England.
Yep.
It seems to get dark so early here. It's good to see you, Barry, and for all of you out there, it's really nice to have you listening in. We appreciate it.
We always do.
Thanks for listening in, and we're excited to bring you, Music NFT News. Which this is the first episode, and it's going to be the first of many. We're here to stay, and we're going to bring you all different news from all the different categories within Web3 and the music and music. So today we're going to talk about 4 different categories, which is going to be sort of Web3 music industry news, and then there's going to be music NFT drops, and then we're going to talk about Web3 artists, and then finally our last one is, what's our last one, Barry?
You got me on the spot now. Have we got industry? Have we got platform? Have we got drops?
Barry hit it on the head. So the last one is about music NFT platforms and the latest news on them.
Great.
And like I said, and Barry runs another channel called NFT Music Info, and where pretty much the focus is on music NFT platforms. So it's a good link, right, Barry?
It certainly is. No, it's good. It's good to keep in sync with the news because that's something that I can't always report on with the channel. So it's good to make sure, because Web3, there's so much noise out there. Just trying to absorb what's going on in Twitter, on all of the news articles. We felt that it's just great to have just one central podcast for this stuff. So
exactly, we are your source of music NFT news. Mm-hmm. So with that said, shall we do it?
Yep, let's start. So Rich, we're going to start off with music industry news.
All right, so the big first bit of news this week is OpenSea is going to partner with Warner Music.
That is huge.
It's massive. It's massive for the music industry, and it's great for OpenSea having a massive partner like that. And so early in the week, and this is a statement from the site, it says Warner Music Group, the global music and entertainment company, have announced a collaboration with OpenSea, the world's leading peer-to-peer marketplace for NFTs, that will provide a platform for selected Warner Music Group artists to build and extend fan communities in Web3. As part of the engagement, Warner Music Group artists would get early access to OpenSea's new drop products, along with improved discoverability, personalised storytelling on customised landing pages, and OpenSea's industry-leading safety and security features. This will also unlock dedicated support and best practices from the OpenSea team, helping Warner artists build new Web3 communities and introducing existing fan communities to new forms of connection and creativity powered by NFTs. In addition, Warner Music Group artists would have their own dedicated drop page to host limited edition projects, which would open new opportunities for fans to engage with music and artists. Wow. So what do you think?
I think it just shows what the bigger picture is, which is actually that these huge conglomerate companies don't want to miss out in Web3, and they've recognised the benefits and advantages of being in that space, and they want to be part of it. They feel that they have to be part of it. I think just OpenSea, I'm glad they've chosen, because that's like the eBay marketplace for NFTs, and it covers everything, doesn't it? Everything's on OpenSea pretty much, in terms of Ethereum and Polygon, and even Solana, some NFTs are on there now. So it makes sense that such a big conglomerate matches up with an equal in the Web3, which is OpenSea.
It does. And I was going to say, with Warner Music Group, I actually think they're going to lead the way now for a lot of labels to partner up with different platforms. So I think we'll start to see, for example, I think you could start to see, for example, like Sound partnering with Sony, for example.
That would be cool.
Or it could be, or Columbia partnering with Catalog, for example. Like, I think this is kind of opening the door now. It's like a game of chess, isn't it, where they've strategically placed themselves next to the big boys, basically, of NFT marketplaces. It's an interesting story.
It is.
I think, and like I said, I'm I'm trying to work out whether I think it's. Part of me thinks it's good for music and Web3, but part of me isn't sure. I don't know. What do you think?
It depends how they roll out. So their first collection is going to be called Probably Nothing, which in the Web3 space means definitely something. So I like that they've had a play on words with that. It's really going to depend on which artists they choose, what their strategies are. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, yeah, Warner Music Group have some absolutely massive artists on board. They have the likes of Ed Sheeran, Coldplay, Paramore, David Guetta, like Madonna. I mean, yeah, KSI. The list goes on.
Huge artists.
Absolutely huge. Yeah, shout out to Simon and
KSI. Shout out to Madonna.
And yeah, I mean, there's some absolute monster artists in there. So yeah,
I think what I'm trying to work out with this is whether the artists are just going to do their drops and then leave.
Right, because we've seen this, haven't we, with some established Web2 artists. They go in there. It can feel like a cash grab, like a money grab, and it's not about that. Obviously, Web3 is about community building. It's about building the culture, and it's about a continued relationship between the artists and the fans.
I think it's quite an issue for Web2 artists because if you think about it, some artists plan an album release every 3 years or 2 years, and obviously in Web3 that feels like 30 years, 20 years. So actually, I think it might take time for those Web2 artists to recognise that actually they need to be more drops more regularly. Because normally they want to coincide with their album, don't they, for promotion?
Right. And
they have that huge strategy behind them for years of planning exactly what they're going to do. So it'll be interesting to see how Web2 and Web3 will match up with that.
Yeah. I mean, leading on from what you're saying, I agree, Barry, by the way.
But it's amazing news.
It is amazing news. But at the moment, with how I've noticed, I mean, myself and Barry, we're both work as Web3 music consultants, and I think the pattern I've noticed is that the normal for an artist looking to sort of drop an NFT collection, a music NFT collection in Web3, usually it's the artist drops that NFT collection usually like I say a week to a day before it's released into the mainstream. So for example, a week to a day before it's on Spotify and all streaming platforms.
I normally suggest a month to really give the project the benefit of the doubt.
True, and also it makes it more exclusive. The longer the music's out on a Web3 platform and not on a Web2 platform, there's more appeal, isn't there? There's more. It's more excitement.
I think also with Web3, you can have maybe more utility than what you're releasing on Spotify. Maybe exclusive tracks that you can only get in Web3. So those are the kind of strategies that I normally advise.
Yeah, and what do you think about the idea of not releasing, so having an NFT collection, creating a music NFT collection, but then not having it available to listen to on a streaming platform?
Yeah, it's something I have considered for myself.
What do you think about it as an artist?
It's a hard one because it depends on the circumstances and whether you only want to hit Web3 people. Personally, I like to make Web3 exclusive, but then to also incorporate Web2 as well.
Agreed.
So I feel that's the best strategy, but it may not be for everybody. There are Web3 only artists out there as well. And obviously they will not want to touch Web2 with a barge pole. I mean, I love Bandcamp, for example, in Web2. I'm waiting for them to come on board. They need to come on board. They need to, because that's the perfect platform already built. They just need to make them limited NFTs on the blockchain, and I think they'll be huge. Not many people not many people in public have heard of Bandcamp, have they? Shout
out to Bandcamp.
Yeah. Get in touch.
Yeah, do get in touch. We'd love to see that. And it's an interesting one. I think if you only released a music NFT collection now and didn't put it out into the Web2 streaming platforms, I just think actually currently, even though the Web3 music scene is growing, I don't think there's actually enough mass yet to just release it into that area.
No.
I think you're right. You need the hand in hand of the song, almost like the awareness of the song in Web2 and getting the streams, getting the listens, but then you still need that exclusivity. of buying a music NFT from an artist in Web3. So
Plus, you might have a fan base in Web2 already.
Exactly.
And you don't want to force it down people's necks. You want to offer it as an alternative.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
an extra, as a fan club.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you're right, because it's not about, we want Web3 to be inclusive, not exclusive, right?
Exactly.
But you're right, to get that extra level of connection with an artist, and that extra collectible, digital collectible, or as I like to say, digital audio collectible.
Lovely.
DAX. That is my shout. That's my shout for what it's going to be called.
Trademark it quick.
Honestly, that is my shout. I think
good.
DAX is going to be the new CDs or MP3s. I'm calling it digital audio collectibles. You heard it here first.
There you go.
Didn't you, Barry? All right. We're going to go on to our next bit of music news now. So, Barry, what is the next bit of news?
So the next bit of news that I'm going to talk about is Audius hitting 7.5 million monthly users.
That's an impressive number.
That is huge.
I mean, they haven't been going that long, to be honest.
No, Audius was one of the first platforms that I came across purely because it was for streaming, and it was so easy to just upload your music on there.
And would you say Audius is kind of the Web3 version of Spotify? Or
SoundCloud, I'd actually say. Yeah, very, very similar to SoundCloud.
Good. Okay. And so how would you, for everyone listening, how would you differentiate, say, SoundCloud from Spotify?
Well, it's all in Web3, so it's on the blockchain, which is
Yes.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's kind of a Web3 audience. But what they've found out interesting is the fact that less than 10% of those users actually have MetaMask installed. So that makes me almost feel that there's more about having Web2 people coming in to actually listen that don't have the understanding of how to get a MetaMask.
Yeah, I agree, because when I use Audius, it feels very Web2, and but in the best ways. As in actually, I've actually been using it a lot more recently, and I'm really enjoying using it. And it has, I'd say a similar user experience and the user interface and user experience to Spotify. And yeah, I'm actually really enjoying using it. And
It is great.
And yeah, and there's some really big Web2 artists on there already. There's. Sorry, excuse the little ting. There's some really big Web2 artists on there already. The likes of like Blau, Justin Blau.
Yeah.
And then there's RAC. There's Mike Shinoda. There's my mind's gone blank.
It's good for music discovery as well, though, isn't it?
It really is. Honestly.
Playlists on there as well, which is really cool. And they've been around for over 2 years now.
So yeah, 2 years, and to get that many monthly listeners.
Yeah, I mean it ranges obviously, because sometimes they get like 5 million or to 7 million or 500,000 active users in the last year. So it does fluctuate depending on how many listeners they actually get. But yeah, they've got over 250,000 artists now, and 1 million songs actually on the platform.
Yes, it's still incredible. I did hear a stat the other day, and I'm struggling to remember it. Of the comparison, it was the number of people who've released of artists in Web3 and artists in Web2, and then also the amount of songs that get released weekly for artists in Web2 versus artists in Web3.
Yeah.
And I think it was something like 80,000 songs. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it was 80,000 songs per week get uploaded to Spotify.
Yes, that's correct.
And then I think it was 5,000. I think it was something like 5,000 songs get uploaded to. In Web3.
Oh, okay.
I think it was.
There's 5,000 Web3 musicians at the moment.
I think that was the stat that I was
Could be
thinking
that one.
of. Yes.
Yeah.
So when you think about that comparison, so 80,000 artists uploading 80,000 songs in comparison to 5,000 artists total in Web3, that is the gulf that currently exists.
It's about 0.1%.
Right.
Yeah, so currently there's 5,000, and when it goes to 8,000, that's going to be 0.1%. In comparison.
Absolutely mental.
Just shows how early we are in the space, how small the space actually is.
But how much? But it is growing.
It really is, yeah.
It really is growing, and we firmly believe that music NFTs. To be honest, I believe they're going to be the ultimate catalyst to NFTs having mass adoption, because I think their use cases and just the power they give back to the artist. It basically for me is going to actually drive mass growth of NFTs. Yeah. Although at the moment, obviously, art NFTs seem to have the spotlight. But I think this summer is the start of the music NFT, I'd say, upward path. And
I think so, because if you think about it, music NFTs are harder because they've got to listen to the music.
yeah,
Whereas it's a split decision on an image if you want to buy that art NFT or not.
yeah.
So it's a different ballpark, I think.
It is. And I think what's been nice about people collecting Web3 music artists NFTs is that instead of in Web2 where it's basically pretty much only the fans of the artist that would collect, buy the memorabilia, buy the, go and see them in concert and, maybe buy their digital album.
Mm-hmm.
In Web3, what's different is that I think people just believe in Web3 and in NFT and in music NFTs, and so they're not necessarily fans first of the artist. They almost become fans because these people have chose to release music in Web3. So I think I've seen a real difference in the kind of people who are maybe buying the NFTs of Web3 artists compared to the Web2.
Yeah.
So, and sorry if you're listening out there and you're not familiar with Web2 and Web3. I'm sorry we've been mentioning it a lot tonight. It's really just like Web2 is effectively what exists currently. It's the Spotifys, the YouTubes, all the middlemen platforms that exist currently, which, they're great, they serve a purpose, but they don't really empower the creators, the artists, in terms of financially and in terms of owning what they've created, the content they've created, or the music they've put on there. And Web3 is just about ownership, and it's about getting paid what you deserve for your art, for your music.
Also, there's decentralization with Web3, which is what Audius was really about. It was the fact that DJs didn't have to worry that they were going to be taken down on a platform like they did on SoundCloud, for example.
Yeah.
Because it's all about governance. It's all about having a community that decides which tracks should be taken down. Whereas because it is decentralized, there was this legal proposition that actually they could put it on Audius. So I think a lot of people do like bootlegs and that kind of thing, even though that's kind of below belt on SoundCloud, and people are getting fed up with SoundCloud because of those restrictions.
Yeah.
So it does open up the opportunity to have more remixes and those that you wouldn't get on SoundCloud.
And the big difference between, say, Audius and SoundCloud or Spotify, I know you know this, Barry, is how Audius reward their artists with audio tokens. Is it? Audius tokens.
It's a top percentage. I don't know if it's 5% or something, or maybe the top 10 artists of the week.
Yes.
But those are the only ones that get the token.
Got you.
So it is very much a chart-specific reward.
So the more streams, the more plays.
Personally, I'd like everybody to be rewarded. And even if everybody was rewarded a couple of cents a month or pennies,
of course,
that could actually be more than their streaming services.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, get in touch.
No, definitely. We want to see it go that way. We just want to see artists get paid more for the streams ultimately. So Spotify, increase how much you pay artists, or just go and use like a platform like Audius to stream music instead, because there's so much great music on there. It does support artists more. And there was one more thing I was going to say. Oh yeah, but the Audius token.
Mm-hmm.
So you can also buy the Audius token.
You can.
So as in anyone can buy the Audius token
as a crypto coin.
As a crypto coin on a exchange or on a crypto exchange.
That's right.
Have you got any Audius tokens?
I do. Yeah, because what you get
as
an artist, you get a perk. So you're able to show your NFTs from, say, OpenSea on your actual Audius musician profile if you have a certain amount of those tokens. Okay. So it's one of the first things I did. I think they were about £80 back then when I did it to be able to do that, because NFTs aren't offered on the platform yet, and the fact that you could show your NFTs from OpenSea if you got that certain amount of tokens from as an artist, then that's quite powerful, because then anybody that goes onto Audius and likes your music can, from the same page, all of a sudden check out your NFTs that are for sale. Which is
really cool, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really cool. And you can currently get, as it stands, as of today, you can currently get the Audius token. I'm sorry, it's called the audio token, but the platform's Audius. And it's currently 19 pence. So
that's good.
Which is
but
good.
We are not financial advisors.
This
is for entertainment purposes only.
Exactly. So yeah, as always, please do your own research, and like Barry said, please make up your own decision. We're just giving you some information. We like the platform, and we both happen to hold some Audius tokens.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm not sure what that is in dollars. We usually do this conversion, but
Not now.
but we're not going to do it now.
That's not news, I guess.
Exactly.
You can do the math. So, Rich, what's next?
All right. So next, we're going into the metaverse. So Web3 entertainment company Hume have just raised £11.7 million, which is going to allow it to fund the expansion of basically what it calls a fan to Medstar engagement platform. And the startup said it's going to use the money to establish a roster of virtual artists known as Medstars who exist in the digital and physical world. So there already is some Medstars that exist.
Well, they're real.
Out there. Exactly, they're real.
That's interesting for Web3.
And so, there's already a few Medstars that I'm aware of, and I'm sure there's a few you're aware of too, Barry. I've got one that I like is a guy called Teflon Sega, and he is, he's really smashing it. In terms of visually, when you look at it, it's beautifully made and the art is beautiful, and yeah, it's a bit like, it almost feels a bit like watching the film Avatar, when you're watching so the way he moves, and I don't know, it just feels like I'm watching, it feels very like Avatar in terms of the film. And he's just a great singer, and currently had a few drops on One Of and other platforms, and I know he's done really well, and he's just got a really good sort of amount of fans and followers in Web 2, and on Spotify, he's absolutely smashing it. Have you got a favourite Medstar artist?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I know that Cooper Turley was an investor on this project.
Interesting.
Which is Cooper Trooper.
Shout out Cooper Trooper.
Yep.
To our US counterparts. Cooper, if you want to learn more about Web3 and music, he is a very knowledgeable guy, and big respect to him from both of us. Kudos, yeah. He's someone who is definitely leading he's leading the way in the music NFT field. Yeah. And we respect him, and yeah, shout out to him. And if you're listening, Cooper, we'd love to get you on at some point and to talk a bit more.
Cool.
And so I was going to say, for example, Teflon, purple avatar, currently has 466,000 monthly listeners, which is high.
Oh, that must earn him about £10, wasn't it?
So you're right, actually. In terms of actually what he's earned from it, I'm sure he would like to earn more.
This is why
he deserves to earn more.
Yeah, this is why there's a need for Web3.
Exactly. But yeah, some of his top songs getting sort of 14-15 million streams. And yeah, and what do you think of Medstars, Barry, as a music artist, as someone in Web3 music? What's your thoughts so far?
I think the fact that this could be really powerful in the metaverse would be huge for these artists.
Yeah, I do as well. And yeah, like I said, they're already starting to make a mark in Web 2 and Web 3. And you could argue that we've already had Metastars, bands like Gorillaz, Daft Punk, Slipknot, artists that have you don't know their true identity.
Stig.
The Stig. Actually, Slipknot and the Stig obviously are real life characters, and Daft Punk are real life characters that you don't know their identity, as opposed to, say, Gorillaz, where it's they have a digital identity, but the difference is you know who they are.
Yeah.
Whereas the point of Web3 and Medstars is that you don't know the identity behind the digital avatar, and they launch as a digital avatar.
See, I just think that's so powerful, because there's such a big selling point about having secrecy.
There is. And
the unknown, and the fact that you could be investing in a huge artist and you don't actually know who's doing it.
It's true.
That could be massive.
It could be.
What if Adele did this, or Lady Gaga, and actually disguised their voice so that you didn't know, and then they actually came out saying that would change the industry forever.
It really would. It really would. It really, yeah, it really would. And obviously, there's a few examples already in Web3 as well. There's the guy called Spotty Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. Shout out Spotty.
Yeah.
Who his avatar is a CryptoPunk.
Yeah, he bought it, didn't he?
So he bought it. He bought the CryptoPunk, and then he was the first one to effectively. He was already a rapper, but he just thought, this is a new angle for me to recreate myself. So he basically he has a Web 2 identity, and now he has a Web 3 identity as Spotty Wi-Fi, the CryptoPunk number, whatever number.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy as well. I've seen him on a lot of YouTube interviews and things, and he's great in the space.
Yeah, really good guy and really down to earth. And yeah, and like I said, and actually he's speaking at FT London very soon.
Cool.
So if anyone here is listening and from the UK or Europe or even from the US, get yourselves down to FT London. It's going to be really soon, and he's on a panel speaking about music NFTs, so it'd be good to hear.
Right, so the next piece of news that I've got for you is regarding Napster. Does anybody remember Napster?
I remember Napster.
So they've had a new CEO, and the new CEO, he actually wants to take Web3 music into the mainstream. It's a huge ambition.
Yeah, it's big. But they were a big Web 2 brand, weren't they? So.
Yeah, they were massive, weren't they? And it was interesting when they were taken down. There's loads of documentaries about Napster on YouTube, so check it out if you're not sure what Napster actually means. But yeah, they want to utilise the blockchain Algorand.
Which is cool. And Algorand are great. I'm a fan of Algorand. I also own some Algorand crypto. Do you?
Oh, I don't know if I do yet, actually.
Ooh.
But we're not financial advisors.
Exactly. Have you bought an Algorand NFT as well?
I don't think I have yet, but I've seen so much about them because they do keep popping up.
Yeah, they're very very eco friendly, and yeah, I think I've got one, and I'm struggling to remember what one. I have a shocking memory. I think that's what I've revealed on this episode.
Me too.
But yeah, I was going to say, it's a smart play from whoever purchased Algorand. Whoever purchased Napster. It's a smart play to bring, very almost like.
Oh, it's great. Fits perfectly.
Almost like the rebels that brought free music streaming to the masses, because Napster was the first to bring free streaming to the masses.
Yeah.
Now they're being the pilot. That now they want to kind of lead, even though they're not the first, they want to lead the way in the music NFT Web3 revolution of bringing artists. In some ways, it's a bit ironic because when they first launched, they basically were trying to get artist music out there for free, and that basically really hurt the record labels and it really hurt the artists.
Yeah.
And now they're almost, so it's kind of like they're going from sort of like a rags to riches story, or like they're going from the bad guy to the good guy.
That's right.
I never really thought of it like that.
No, it does sound really positive. I like to put positive spins on things. And the CEO actually guided Roblox from 2019 to 2022, 3 years. And there's a lot of partnerships and deals that he actually managed to do with different labels, management companies, artists, startups. And also they had a lot of popularity with a lot of different virtual performances. So
just say actually, Roblox is a metaverse.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's a game for kids.
Yes. I'll be honest. I wasn't too sure.
Yeah,
so
it's similar. It's in a sense similar to Minecraft.
Okay.
But you can add a lot of logic depending on how it's built.
Okay.
So you can have different games within it.
Okay.
But it can be a metaverse as well. So
that's cool.
But yeah, going back to Roblox, they did projects and virtual performances with 21 Pilots, Lil Nas X, David Guetta as well. So he's some
big superstars.
Yeah, so he's brought a lot to the game for Roblox, and the fact he's been hired by Napster to guide their Web3 stuff is going to be really cool, and he's pretty confident about doing it. Yeah,
and honestly, he's got a proven track record, and they always say you got to look at the team first when you're looking on who to maybe buy some tokens of, or who to or which platforms to use for the future, or which ones are going to be the leaders, because there's obviously so many music NFT platforms right now.
Yeah, there is. They all need their USP,
and they all need the USP, and they all need great team and great artists jumping on board. So I think that's a great coup for them.
No, it definitely is, and he's very confident that he'll be able to be on par with Web3 gaming over the next 2 to 3 years, being a CEO of the company. Napster themselves they've raised some finance to push into the Web3 space. They're looking for startups as well to acquire in the space. So they've had a huge fund of 8 figures. They haven't disclosed the actual amount yet, because that round's still technically open for them, so they might even get more money. But this is a huge market in the Web3 space, and again, opportunities that these companies are realizing that, you know, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in Web3, and it's growing all the time. So it's the best space to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, and again, like, it's a funny one. I have really mixed feelings on Napster, like, just from sort of someone who used it. And I used to love it as a user, obviously, because it was great as a user. But
It's before Spotify, right?
Exactly.
It was before really you could get hold of anything or stream anything.
It was like the first.
Yeah.
Like, really, it was the first big free music streaming platform, and it changed the game. And so I loved it. I loved it at first as a user, but then I didn't like it because I realised the artists didn't get paid much. Or didn't get paid anything.
Yeah, didn't get paid their thing.
Which is terrible.
Again, it's kind of like Spotify in that it's really all about discovery.
Yeah, exactly. Which has a place. Like, you know, I think we both believe that these platforms do have a place.
Yeah.
It's just that we want to see artists making enough money to, like, making a living, basically.
Absolutely.
And more from Web3 music platforms.
Yeah. And on that note, what's next, Rich?
All right. So next one is, I'm excited about it because my background's predominantly in, like, growing up, and sort of my work experience has predominantly been in organising events and festivals. So this one is a little news about a music festival coming up that is a Web3 music festival. How exciting is that?
Oh, it looks amazing as well from what I can see.
It does look cool. I mean, it's a beautiful
mansion.
It's like a beautiful kind of country mansion estate.
Yeah.
And
I'm there.
It does look good, and it's next August, the 14th to the 16th. And it's called Decentralize. So basically, it's a hybrid music festival and conference that will be held at Presswold Hall Estate in August 2023. So the event will be streamed live too. So if you can't be there, then you can see it simultaneously, which is nice.
You won't get FOMO then.
Exactly, but the difference is it'll be in a custom-built metaverse hosted by Passage. Decentralized Festival is basically on a big mission to empower artists and enact social change through decentralization as the first festival brand to be tokenized and fully owned by its community. Ooh, okay.
This is going to be exciting. I just feel it.
Okay. So it's going to be owned by its community. It's interesting.
They've got a Discord channel as well, haven't they?
Okay. And I mean, like you said, it's bridging the gap between music and tech, and and so obviously showcasing the latest Web3 tech.
It's in the UK.
And it's in the UK, yeah. So if you're a UK listener, or in Europe, you're a bit closer. But if you're further away, it's all good. Just come over for a week. Make a good week of it. There's so much, like, if you're not from the UK listening, there's so much that the UK scene in terms of blockchain technology, so Web3, blockchain, NFTs, DAOs, it's been really thriving and buzzing.
Yeah, and these in real life events, IRL events, are getting bigger now, aren't they? They're getting more popular. There's more than we can go to, which is really cool.
Yeah, shout out to NFT UK, the biggest and the best NFT event in the UK that I've been to, and it's been a great place to, like, just have a drink, get to meet some other people in the industry, and just network and build relationships and get to know new friends in the industry and potentially find people you might end up working with. So big shout out to them. I know, Barry, you went to one the other night, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It was in London at King's Cross, called Tile Yard, and I was invited as a guest speaker there to discuss music NFTs to various audiences, and it was amazing, you know, because it's such a hub of music. So, like, you walk past all of these kind of offices and things, and you see SoundCloud, and then you see Apple Music, and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing.
That's cool.
So it was great to be there. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I need to I've been once, and you're right, it's an amazing venue, but I definitely want to go back. So yeah, shout out Tile Yard for having this great guy on, and this festival looks great. So again, like, put the date in your diary, and I'm just trying to see if I've got a website address. I've said it's called Decentralize. Yeah, so like I said, they're on Discord, and you can find them on Twitter as Decentralize Fest, and that's Decentralize with a Z. And you can also find them on Telegram, Decentralize Fest, and that's Decentralize Fest, not with a E after the D. Sorry, that was really long-winded. So yeah, check it out. Yeah, and also just want to do a massive shout out to Zebu Live or Zebu Live, whichever way you say it. I went recently. We both were going to go, myself and Barry, but Barry couldn't make it, unfortunately, due to some unfortunate circumstances.
I was gutted.
He was gutted.
I watched it on YouTube. I did watch it live on YouTube.
Yeah, and look, just want to say it was a great festival convention. It was brilliant. Like, great for networking. I thought the panels were really great. I thought the partnerships were great. It was Dancing Seahorse was one of the partners. They are a really interesting music platform, and they've got an interesting angle. They're really sort of trying to attack the kind of event, sort of building community through events. Would you say?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think how to describe it, because we're having this conversation about how to describe it. Yeah, and they're doing some really interesting things. They've got some great things in the pipeline. Do check them out, Dancing Seahorse. And there was some really good music NFT panelists there when I heard that talk. There was one panel that was on music NFTs, and had the founder of Another Block, which is a great platform. Like, they are doing some big things. The guy who was speaking was basically saying that the same day they were doing a weekend drop, as in the weekend, big, massive Web2 artist.
Huge, Blinding Lights,
exactly, like massive monster artist, and they were doing a drop that day, and that sold out instantly. Like, I tried to get one, I missed it.
I'm not surprised.
I was gutted, and Another Block looks like a really up and coming, and I think it's got real potential to become one of the bigger music NFT platforms. So shout out to Another Block too. Big respect for getting some great artists on board. There was just some of the really good people speaking that day. And it was also the founder of Dancing Seahorse, and he was brilliant, and his vision's brilliant, and I can just see the drive and the kind of, they had a really good music industry background, Dancing Seahorse, in terms of, I think they have potential to go far as well as a platform. So right. Shout out to them as well. And and like I said, just again, Zebra Live, my hat's off to you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
We appreciated. We went as press, and we were reporting on it. So we just wanted to thank you as well. So thanks.
So Rich, hey Apple.
Hey Apple. So the Big Apple. Ironic, actually, me saying that. The Big Apple have now basically decided that what they're going to do is they're going to sell NFTs in games and apps, and they're going to take a 30% cut on everything.
Huge.
Absolutely huge.
I mean, my goodness me. I mean, that is quite hefty, isn't it, really? But this is an enabler as well, right? So actually, they're allowing it to happen. Right. They are for NFTs, because otherwise they would have banned them.
Exactly.
So actually, this is a positive.
It's literally, you're right. It's a positive. Mass adoption is what we want, and it's what's needed for the industry to grow and to be sustainable. But just a comparison, literally, OpenSea, they take the leading NFT marketplace charges a 2.5% commission on NFT sales. Yeah. Apple 30%. I mean,
well, I'm really thinking aloud here, but could they reduce it in the future if they've become more adopted?
Maybe it's almost them going, we're going to cautiously put our foot into this industry. Exactly. We're going to put a high percentage on, and we're going to see how many people buy it. But is it going to stop people putting their apps on the App Store? Or is it going to be that, or an NFT marketplace is going to pull themselves off the App Store?
Yeah, because as soon as they've announced this, then they've got the legality of being able to pull anybody that doesn't pay that.
Right.
30%, right? So actually, there are quite a few negatives as well as positives. I mean, I love Apple, don't get me wrong, but they are a conglomerate and they are not silly. That's why they are.
Rich. It's true. It's true. Apple integrating in-app NFT sales could also introduce, like you said, 1 billion plus people to Web3. Honestly, if we were looking for a moment to bring the masses in. This is literally opening the door to the masses and saying, look, now see how great NFTs are. We already see how great they are.
I'd rather it was this news than the fact that they had banned NFTs and were never going to allow them.
Me too, but if we're honest, right, everyone is jumping on board. Like the most
They are now.
Like literally everyone's jumping on board now, and it's only a matter of time before everyone's on board. So they know that. So they're going, well, we're in, but because we're still earlier in than a lot of people, that's why they're slapping that big 30% tax.
That's
on
right.
it.
Yeah, because they know they've got that mass adoption of users, so they can charge what they like.
I feel so mixed feelings about the story.
Yeah,
like I really, really do.
I'm a little torn with it myself because I'm quite an Apple fan, and I'm all for the ecosystem, but actually 30%, I don't know.
Yeah.
On every transaction, yeah.
Oh, we had to mention it, even though it's directly not music NFT news. It could affect music NFTs because if you think of all the music NFT platforms, will Apple take that 30% cut on any music NFTs sold through those platforms? Yeah,
because things like Peernity.com have just announced their app for the App Store as well. So
and also, oh yes, of course they have. And you're right. And then obviously there's the platforms that we think at some point will have an app like the likes of Sound.
Yeah. Audios already do, but they don't do NFTs yet.
Exactly.
But I've been told yet because they could be coming in the near future.
Yeah.
So time is going to be. Time will tell how interesting this actually is.
Yeah, and also the royalty-based platforms, the royalty-based music NFT platforms, I think at some point will be adopting apps. Yeah. So, do you keep? I mean, if you're a platform, do you keep as just a web platform to avoid? I mean, maybe that's the answer now. Maybe you just keep us a web platform and you'll have a web app.
Yeah. Because it's their app store, they can charge what they like.
Yeah, that is wow. That what a bit. That is beastly news to end on. And look, that's going to wrap it up for today. We've
loved it, haven't we? It's been great. It's honestly,
it's always good to be with Barry.
It's fab.
And it's always good to talk about what we love, which is music NFTs, Web3 music, and all things music. And we've been Richard, and this is Barry. And my and if you want to sort of give us a message or get in touch with us, so this is Music NFT News, but it's on the Music NFT Network. So you can find Music NFT Network on Insta, Twitter, and all good streaming services. So as in you can hear this on YouTube, you can also hear it on Spotify, and soon in the future it'll also be on things like Apple and Amazon.
We'll get there.
But like I said, it's day one of our new show. We hope you've enjoyed it. And like I said, I'm Richard Blockwave. Blockwav, WAV, and this is Barry.
Yeah, so you can reach out to me, Barry, on nftmusicinfo@gmail.com.
All right, we just want to say a big thank you for listening today, and if you have any comments or feedback or would like to get in touch with us, please feel free to drop us an email at musicnftnetwork@gmail.com or drop us a message on our social channels. And my name is Richard, and Barry is NFT Music Info, and you can always get hold of him at nftmusicinfo@gmail.com. Thanks so much, and have a really great week, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Will do. Take care. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.